Welcome to my channel. I'm MJ from MJ Hobby Corner, and in this video we're going to go into the studio in just a second. We're going to play my very first game of Death Wizards. Now, I'm not going to concentrate too much on rules, just enough to give a sense of what's going on. We could do other videos in the future where we talk about rules, but for now, I just want to concentrate on the game. The one thing I will say is that there's two versions of the game. You can play with your friends in skirmish mode, which works a little bit differently, or you play in story mode, which can be played either co-op or single player. So we're playing story mode today. So for my necromancer, I chose the legacy Stitcher. So he is a Stitcher. We'll look at a few of his stats in just a second. And his name is Rottergast. That is my necromancer. Moving on, we have the necromancer's cousin. And when you read the Stitcher lore, you'll know why this is. But this is the necromancer's cousin that he resurrected. And now this little Skelly, who's a little mutated, is carrying his heaviest of tomes. He attacks like a regular skeleton. I just chose the miniature for amusement. So that is Radagast's cousin converted to Skelly. Next, we have a Death Knight. He is my strongest figure, also the most expensive. He is a knight that has been resurrected in the service of Rottergast. Okay, and then we have a zombie. He is a shambler. But there he is. There's my final minion, is now a skeleton archer, and he has come to the service of Rottergast, or rather, Rottergast has awoken him, resurrected him to his service. For the heroes, we have one warrior. These are rolled up randomly, and one warrior here. This is a Reaper mini, and then we have a female warrior right here, another Reaper mini. So two warriors. And then we have 3 villagers, okay? And so 3 villagers per player. And since it's just me, 3 villagers. And so a total of 5 enemies. And I don't remember where... this was from a board game, these minis. I'm repurposing them, but I don't remember what board game it was from. So scenarios in Death Wizards will generate some of the terrain using the scenario maps that you need for the game. However, the rest of the table is divided into sections, and the terrain in those sections is randomly determined with tables. Okay, so in this scenario, attack the village, our necromancer, who's the true hero of the game, not these guys. We want to take out all of the hero models. When we do so at the end of the game, we can then use those corpses and turn them into undead minions. So we're basically on a recruit mission. You play a total of 5 turns, so these are short games. 5 turns I have to destroy those heroes. Now, first things first, before we begin, I have my little summary sheet that I made here. So the first thing, each player regains 3 necromantic energy. And by the way, this is for story activation steps, okay? This is story activation mode. If you're playing a skirmish game with a friend, that is slightly different. All players have first activation. Now, players means me, the solo player, the necromancer. So I can activate him first. I'm going to skip regaining energy because it's the very first turn. 2 heroes per player. So 2 heroes will activate next, since this is a solo game. And then all players activate 4 rating of undead. So I can activate up to 4 rating, which means activate my zombie, my 2 skellies, and that's it. Or activate my Death Knight, and that's it. So turn 1 sees my necromancer moving to a pile of stones. Rottergast moves 5 inches in total. Rottergast also has line of sight to the male warrior at the edge of town. And there he is, sword over his shoulder, all tough and stuff. Good target for a spell. The target is in range, and so my necromancer says the dark words, and the negative energy bolt rushes towards the warrior. The spell costs 3 power and reduces his own power from 17 to 13. The power of the spell is 4d10, and the warrior has a resist of 5. Rolling the power dice, the necromancer gets 3 successes. Looking at the stats of the spell, we see that negative bolt does extra damage when rolling 3 successes. In Death Wizards, many effects are stronger with the more successes that are rolled. So, we roll a d10 for 4 damage, then roll an additional d6 for the bonus and get a 3 for a total of 7 damage. The bolt thus slams into the warrior, doing 7 damage and reducing his durability from 16 to 9. A very good start indeed for Rodergast. So now I get to activate 4 rating of undead. I can therefore move the 2 skellies and zombie, or activate the Death Knight. So I decide on the archer. He is rating 1 and has line of sight to the male warrior. The offense stat is 3, so I will be using 3 dice and a range of 15 inches. Meanwhile, the warrior defense is 5. That is my target number for the dice. So I roll my 3d10, and lo and behold, I score a crit and 2 hits for a total of 4 more damage, penetrating the armor of the warrior. The arrow hits its mark. So in story mode, you can play it solo or co-op, and the heroes go with an AI. And it's an interesting AI. You roll a d10, and then there's a list of different paragraphs that will happen depending on the roll. So each of these paragraphs is going to give the hero a behavior. The higher you roll, the more things that hero is going to be able to do. And in the case of warriors, it's a very aggressive AI, where the hero is simply going to be moving up and attacking. And the higher you roll on the AI, the worse those attacks are going to be for you. Now, if worse comes to worse, if none of the conditions work, then you go to the very first condition, which is basically the warrior takes a defensive stance. He doesn't move, but he takes a defensive stance, and it gives him a benefit in melee. So heroes are very aggressive in that respect. Well, at least warriors are aggressive. 2 heroes move next, and those 2 heroes will be the warriors according to the activation order in the rules. So the 2 heroes make a double move forward according to their AI. Now it's back to me, and Rodergast is going to cast a spell for his second activation this turn. So I lower my power to cover costs, and suddenly grasping tendrils of dark energy erupt from the ground. The spell, like before, does damage according to successes. And 1 success for the first warrior is 1 roll of the die. That warrior takes 1d3 damage for a total of 3. The second warrior takes 2 successes. She took 4 damage in total. Death Knight then moves. He is rating 4, so that completes my turn. And finally, all 3 villagers activate and make double moves forward according to their AI. So turn 1 is over. All activations have been done for that turn. My necromancer has activated twice, and he has stayed right there. So this is the position of Rodergast and his undead, with the Death Knight moving forward, positioning himself on the ready to engage the approaching warriors. Now in story mode, there is an order of activation for all heroes. Warriors activate first all the time before villagers do. So the villagers finally activate, and these are their positions. They made a double move because there was no conditions fit. In other words, there were no enemy models near the villagers. So they basically just do a double move. And if worse comes to worse and they can't do a double move, they will always do the first condition on the AI, which I believe for villagers is flee. So there it is, and now we're moving on to turn 2 as the heroes are slowed and took damage, by the way, from the tentacles. So it is the player activation of turn 2, and Radagast begins the turn with a spell. After the cost is deducted, I check the range for the spell Boaster Undead. This spell allows me to choose up to 3 models within 6 inches of Radagast. The combat stats will then be boosted depending on how many models I choose. Cast on a single undead, their combat stats will be boosted by +2. However, if cast on more than one model, then the boost is only a +1. So I decided to boost Death Knight's already insane stats by +2. Checking the warrior's defense, Death Knight rolls a bucket of dice. I roll the first bunch, I get 2 crits, and there's still more dice to roll. So a devastating attack on the wounded warrior by the Death Knight. So I put all the dice here so we can better see. We got 2 criticals right here. We have a 9, an 8, and a 6, all of which hit, and so this is 5 successes. However, the warrior did roll a 1, and because of the hero's special ability, Repulsed, because of a hero special ability, whenever the warrior suffers damage from an offensive attack where the attacker is within 1 inches, the attacker also suffers 1 damage. So my Death Knight will have 1 damage. It is also defensive specialist. This model increases its defense by 2 whenever there is only a single enemy within 1 inch of this model. Okay, this does count as a single enemy, so we do have to add a 2 to his defense. Now his defense is 5, so that makes it defense 7, so that takes out this. By the way, not only does the Death Knight get 1 for each of these, but then those crits trigger Cruel Blades, which means they suffer +2 damage instead of +1. So I mean that warrior is just toast, complete toast. Only a couple of durability left, and he is out of the picture. So in the hero's turn, we're going to skip a little bit. The hero's turn, the female warrior does move into contact with Death Knight, and a fight begins. Okay, so my necromancer's energy goes down to 4. And he's going to do a spell, Negative Bolt. And here is the Negative Bolt coming out of the necromancer with its glowing eyes and skull shape. And he's going to do it on this villager. So let's just do that. And now roll the power dice. The power of Negative Bolt is 4d10, so I pick up 4d10s. And this is the orange villager, that's what I'm calling him. He has resist 4, so I need 4s to do damage. And let's see. Okay, 1 success is 1d10 damage, and 3 successes is 1d10 plus 1d6. I didn't do 3 successes, so he's gonna do 1d10 to the villager. They only have 8 life or 8 durability, so we roll the dice, and he rolls 10. Oh, that villager is toast as the negative energy destroys him. So going on to turn 3, but turn 2 is over, and my necromancer managed to kill a villager this turn with the Negative Bolt. Zombie moved over here. He's slowly getting into the fight. Archer Skelly took up 2 points of damage from this villager. His result was Cornered Fury, so he made 2 attacks on the closest enemy, who is the archer. But because of the ability nothing but bones that skeletons have, he took -1 to that damage. So he just resulted in taking 1 point of damage, and that skelly now has 6 life or 6 durability. This fight is going on here. One of the villagers attacks Rodergast's cousin and did no damage whatsoever, thanks to nothing but bones. And that ends turn 2. Now moving on to turn 3, and we're doing good, I think. So my necromancer does bolster undead, and he's now down to 3 energy, and he is now going to do bolster undead. Now bolster undead is up to 3 friendly figures within 6 inches. He's done this before, but I think I'm only going to do, now I'm going to do the Death Knight and not the Skelly. Now the reason is that if one target is chosen, then boost the defense and offense to a 2. If 2 targets are chosen, then defense and offense are only increased by 1. So I'm going to give the 2 to the Death Knight, see if I can finish off that warrior. So that now I think my necromancer is going to move a little bit away from the battle. Decided to move my necromancer here, and this way he can absorb some energy if the warrior dies or the villager dies. Okay, so the Death Knight did 4 damage to her. There's no crits this time, but he also suffers 2 damage because of the warrior's special ability. He rolled 2 ones. So she is weakened now, and she went down from durability 11 now to durability 7. So we're getting there, but she's not out of the picture yet. He takes an additional 2 damage. So rain begins to fall. During Rodergast's second activation, another negative bolt screams through the air at the female warrior. I roll 4 successes, so damage gets a 1d6 bonus dice. I then roll a total of 9 damage, and the female warrior screams. So turn 3, or round 3, was a pivotal turn in this case. The ability to destroy the second warrior, removing those strong figures out of the AI, really sets me up for a good victory, especially early on in the game. Not only the warrior, but one of the villagers. The villagers generally tend to be weak, but their AI does include some options that will allow them to kind of get more attacks and gang up a little bit more. They always try to keep within 3 inches of each other, as that boosts their ability to fight. Well, that didn't happen in this case, so Death Knight, using a combination of the necromantic spell with the power of the Death Knight in turn 3, really helped. But I have to say, it's the game mechanics that give you the freedom and allow you to kind of do these combinations, because your necromancer gets to activate at least twice within a game like this, and even more, multiple times in a game with more undead. That mechanic really allows you to do some pretty cool combinations. So it is the final hero activation. It is the villager's turn. So I rolled a d10 for one of the villager's AI, and the result is Cornered Fury, where that villager makes 2 attacks. These attacks will target Archer Skelly with a defense of 3. And lo and behold, the villager rolls a crit. However, because of the nothing but bones trait of Skellies, he only takes 1 damage. Okay, and it's the end of turn 3. We're in excellent shape. This villager here only has 5 durability left. This one also has 3 durability left. So this turn, which is turn 4, we should be able to kill everybody. And my necromancer is up to 3 energy, so he's going to get 3 more because it's the beginning of the turn. And we'll see This should all be done by turn 4. Well, we will see. It is the player's activation, and Rotorgast recharges 3 power. While this is not apparent in the video, this fact happened every turn. So this time I decide to activate my 4 rating of undead, and I chose Death Knight, who then moves and attacks a villager. He obliterates that villager. What we see is the first of 9 dice during his offense. I roll the remaining dice for more successes and a total of 4 crits. The villager is cut apart, recharging both Death Knight's durability, since he killed the villager, and Rotorgast's own power for 3 power. Death Knight's empty eye sockets rejoice. And the final activation of my necromancer, he's up to 2 activations, so that is his final one. And he just did the spell Negative Bolt with that cool skull-like bolt rushing towards the villager. Power 4, so 4d10. He has a 2 criticals. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So first bonus for the critical, that is a total of 4 points, I'm sorry. So that is 4 points. This villager only has 5. The next critical is, oh, look at that. 5 points, that is a 9. And my last d10 for the final success is a total of 6 points. So this guy is literally toast. He is removed from the game. There they go. And my necromancer gets that energy. He is back up to 5 after going down to 2 because of this Negative Bolt spell. And basically that ends the game at turn 4. So that ended the game. 4th turn, about the top end of the turn is when all the heroes are destroyed. A few notes about the game. It's a lot of fun. It has a very good and very interesting mechanic for the AI, as well as, you know, in story mode. There is skirmish mode when you play with your friends. That's slightly different, the way things, the initiative phase primarily. So those were things that I had to remember during the game. There were a few mistakes here and there. I did play this game once before this video, so I had a little bit of practice. But I'm still learning, so I'm still fumbling a little bit. But it has a very interesting mechanic. The game, you get to activate 4 rating of undead for every activation. And that is your necromancer and 4 rating of undead. I had a total of 7. That meant that I could either activate my Death Knight once for that activation, or I could activate my 3 undead, the zombies and the skellies. So basically my necromancer gets to move twice, because in each of those my necromancer also activates. He activates first. So that's pretty cool. This combination of activating your necromancer multiple times during a game, especially if you have larger numbers of minions, is very cool, because you can do a lot, and a lot of combinations of spells and bolstering your minions. Of course, it depends on your power. The game, you can get your roster sheets for free on the Snarling Badger Studios website, so they get 2 thumbs up for web support. And of course, Vince Venturella has some very good videos on how to play, and hopefully we can do that on the channel as well. We can play all the different variants of the game and see how it plays. All right, thank you folks. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Death Wizards, my very first time playing.